Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of 10 Days of Sonic, and this is episode 4. In today's episode, I am going to rank all the levels from Sonic the Hedgehog, including the 8-bit version, in this video. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and focus on the 8-bit version first, and then the 16-bit version afterwards. So, starting off, the bottom of the list, Labyrinth Zone is at the bottom. I mean, who could have seen that coming? Already, Labyrinth was laggy and very slow on the 16-bit version of the game, so therefore the 8-bit version is actually kind of worse. But I prefer the music from the 8-bit version compared to the 16-bit version, but yeah, it's the water level. And but one thing I do like about the 8-bit version of Labyrinth Zone compared to the 16-bit version is the fact that you get to fight Eggman underwater, and you got unlimited air, so you never will drown. So that's pretty neat. But it's Labyrinth Zone, and on an 8-bit console slash handheld, so it lags even more. Which leads me to the next level, Skybase. Not really the biggest fan of it. It's a difficult level. I like the concept of Eggman having like a winged fortress before Winged Fortress Zone existed in Sonic 2. And I do like the lightning effects that they added to the Act 2, I believe. But it's very difficult, and it's one of those ones where it's like gimmicky level, so the screen's constantly moving up and down, so it's kind of hard to see what things are coming, and you don't really get rings, I don't believe, in that level either. I have to go back and play it again, but yeah, it's my second least favorite level in the 8-bit version of Sonic. Next, I would have to say Bridge Zone, and I know this is usually one of the fan favorites because the music seems to be pretty catchy and a lot of people like the music, but Act 2, where it's just an auto-scroll level, really makes it bad, and if you disable that auto-scroll, that level is extremely short without it, so I can see why they added that gimmick, but and I'm not really a fan of the boss, especially in, like, I think it was the Master System version, it might be the Game Gear version, I don't know. It's just a kind of pain in the butt. So moving on to the next level, I would have to say Green Hill Zone comes in after Bridge Zone, and I know it's the first level, and I do like that they got underground sections that weren't in the 16-bit version of the level, and I thought that was really neat. But the way that Act 2 even begins, even though it is underground, it's kind of weird. You got that warning sign, and if you don't jump down, it plays the hurt sound effect, and you think you just got hurt, but it just knocks Sonic underground, so it's kind of weird. In Green Hill Zone, I mean, with it being the first level in 16-bit Sonic, and it's the first level you get to experience, I still think it's a bit overrated, but, I'll go more into that when I get to the 16-bit part of this video. Anyway, moving on to the next level, I would have to say Scrap Brain Zone comes in after Green Hill, and yeah, it's one of those levels that are in the 16-bit version of the game, but the maze sections of the level in the 8-bit version are kind of annoying, because especially Act 3, there's a bunch of doors and switches, and you gotta figure out which switches do what, and I don't know, it's just kind of annoying, but still, I prefer the music, again, in the 8-bit version compared to the 16-bit version, but overall, that's where I would rank Scrap Brain Zone at. After Scrap Brain, I would say Jungle Zone comes in next. I really do like this level, and I don't like the fact that in the Master System version, though, there is a bottomless pit. I think it's great that they remove that in the Game Gear version because, it's a smaller screen, so it's harder to tell when you're going to fall and all that. But I still really like the gimmicks that Jungle Zone has, and I love the music. I keep bringing up the music. That was going to be for another video, but I just can't help it. The music in this level is great. The boss is kind of lackluster, but, You take what you get. And honestly, I really like the bonus stages in this game, and I thought they were really better than the 16-bit version special stages. You actually get to move around. There's springs, there's bumpers. It's really neat. I really wish they didn't hide the emeralds in the levels, but rather hid them in the bonus stages like in the 16-bit version. But the 16-bit bonus stages are 100% better than the special stages in Sonic 1 16-bit. And I believe that covers all the levels. Now, let's go and rank the levels in the 16-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog. Coming in at last place is again Labyrinth Zone because it is the water level, it's very slow, it's a pain in the butt, and not to mention that there is a bug in the first revision of the game where in Act 1, if you roll into the signpost, the game will crash. So if you accidentally press down and you roll into the signpost because the water is also trying to catch up to you, it causes the game to crash. So already you're like, oh yeah, I finally made it through the first act of this level, and then the game crashes, and then you gotta restart it, and then, it's bad. I feel like a lot of people don't like Labyrinth Zone. I know I'm not alone on that. Anyway, moving on to the next level, I would have to probably say the next level on this list is probably Scrap Brain. Honestly, I mean, you think I would hate Marble more than Scrap Brain, but again, a lot of the traps are really annoying in Scrap Brain. You got those wheels, and you got to make sure that you jump at the right time, and that always annoyed me as a kid. Then you got the electric ball traps where you end up getting close to them, and then they'll shoot their electricity at you, and then you end up losing rings. And then, of course, you got the bottomless pits at the beginning of the level. But again, it is the second to last level. And not to mention, in Act 1, the smoke puff art in the background overwrites the address where the giant rings would appear if you had 50 rings. So if you missed out on getting the Chaos Emeralds in the other levels, you can't get a Chaos Emerald in Act 1 because of that oversight. I don't know if that was ever fixed in any other versions on the Genesis. I'm sure that does not happen on Origins, but I could be wrong. Anywho, moving on to the next level, I would have to say Final Zone. It's just a boss arena, you know? And I mean, yeah, it's the final boss, but I wish there was more to it. And once you've played this game as much as I have, the boss patterns are pretty easy to figure out. It's easy to avoid the electricity. And also, there is a section at the end of the level. If you try to jump and hit Eggman, you have a chance of jumping off and dying. So that's another thing that could happen. There's also a bug where if you manage to hit Eggman one more time when he's exploding, it causes his hint counter to go to 255. It rolls backwards, and then you can never finish the level because you'll run out of time. So another bug there. But anywho, that's where I would place Final Zone at. Next up, I would say Marble Zone. I know a lot of people do like Marble Zone. I find it kind of mediocre when compared to like Green Hill Zone, right? That's the first level, and you get to experience going through the level and all these, getting used to the physics in Sonic. And then you got Marble Zone, and it slows you down, and there's spikes, and there's lava, and there's marble blocks you gotta move over switches, but Marble Zone is kind of mid. It's not bad, but it's also not really good either. Next on this list, I would have to put probably Green Hill Zone. Green Hill Zone would come after Marble Zone, in my opinion. And again, I know it's the first level, it gets used to how Sonic works, but at this point in the franchise, Sega has used this level way too many times in different games. And I get it, it's the first level, it's iconic. A lot of people can remember playing Green Hill Zone when they were kids playing Sonic on their Genesis or Mega Drive. But at this point, Sega needs to stop using it. And honestly, I used to really like it a lot more than I do now because of that. And I know I'm not the only Sonic fan in this boat. But again, you gotta remember, this was the first level in the game, and like I said, it does do a good job getting you used to the physics of Sonic. However, this is where it's placed on my list. Coming up next would be Spring Yard Zone. I love this level. And again, you might think, well, there's so many places where you have to stop. There's spike balls you gotta avoid. There's springs everywhere, hence its name. But I really wish we got Sparkling Zone, because I think it looks a lot better than what we got in the final game. But I can see why they toned it down a bit. There was a lot of flashing lights and, excuse me. I just, I feel like Sparkling Zone would have been a lot cooler than Spring Yard Zone, what we got, but Spring Yard Zone is still a really fun level, and it's cool to see Sonic explore these rooftops of the city, and I love the music. It used to not really be one of my favorite tracks as a kid, but as I've gotten older, Spring Yard Zone is definitely up there. I don't know, it might be my favorite track in the game, I'm not sure, but again, that's for another future video. Anywho, the special stage comes in at second, and I know I mentioned I prefer the bonus stages in Sonic 8-bit over the 16-bit special stages, but I still love that dreamy, trippy level that you're in, like this area where it's just spinning constantly, and you got the background that switches to the fish and birds. And I know that the special stages really kind of glorified tech demos for the Genesis slash Mega Drive, as people like to say, but I didn't mind the special stages in Sonic 1. Again, bonus stages in the 8-bit version they're better, but I still like the special stages in Sonic 1, and I know a lot of people don't, but I do. But coming in at number 1 is Starlight Zone. I love this level. You've got Labyrinth, this terrible, horrible water level. And once you finally make it through that, you get a breath of fresh air with Starlight Zone. It's like a Green Hill Zone, but better. It's set at nighttime. It's got this green foreground. It's got these cool vertical bar things, and the music is beautiful. It's great, except for when you play it on an inaccurate emulator and you got that weird chime sound. But anyway, this level is the best level in Sonic 1. 16-bit, hands down. And yeah, the Orbinauts can be a pain in the butt to defeat if you're not able to jump on them in the right place, because their collision's kind of hit or miss. And those bombs are a pain in the butt. You gotta wait for them to explode. But anyway, these are the rankings of the levels in both Sonic 1, 16-bit, and 8-bit. And I would like to know if anyone else agrees with me or what levels you love. I would love to hear your favorite levels in either game. Doesn't matter which one, 8-bit, 16-bit, both of them. I would love to hear it. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Be sure to like, ring the bell for more, subscribe, and look out for episode 5 of the 10 Days of Sonic. Y'all take care.